amazing. And welcome back to my channel where I take you through the behind the scenes process of my latest cosplay journey, which this year's theme seems to be Barbie because this is the 5th or 6th costume that I have made so far. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I made the 80s Barbie bodysuit of my dreams to match these Barbie Impala rollerblades that are near perfect replicas of Margot's from the movie. So a little backstory, this is the second time that I've made this bodysuit. Imagine it's August 2022. The pictures of Margot Robbie as Barbie are leaked in not only this outfit, but the pink Western outfit. So I stay up till like 3 a.m. drawing the fabric pattern on my iPad. I get it printed the next day, sent from London. I'm not working with good reference material. We've got paparazzi shots and a couple videos that people took on TikTok. Here's me receiving the first fabric, and it was pretty good, not the greatest. I chose to do the little dots with white stippling on my iPad because I didn't know that it was silver sparkly. Here's what the outfit prototype looked like. I basically use this one as a learning experience, so I know that now I want to remove the white stippling and do that with my special holographic silver sparkles and decrease the overall size of the pattern to make it more accurate to Margot's. Okay, well, let's get into it. Okay, so here is the new fabric. The scale is a lot better, I think. It's still not like as neon as I want it to be, but I think it's gonna work for our purposes. And because we're absolutely crazy and have to be screen accurate, I designed a new pattern on my iPad so that I can put it all over here with special silver holographic iron-on vinyl. That's the plan. Okay, so let's get into the construction process. So I am going to be using two fabrics for this, the one that I just showed you and this pink fabric, which is just your run-of-the-mill like shiny spandex as the lining fabric. I'm using a bodysuit pattern that I got on Etsy and I made some alterations to after I printed it out at home. This piece that you're seeing me cut right here is the back, and I'm going to be making it a little bit more of a thong, just like Margot's is, and taking up the back to be more of a high cut swoop, not as low as the original pattern. Once I have my shape right, I take the lining piece and I lay it over top of the final fabric, and I place it very carefully to make sure that the part of the pattern that I want is facing the front. You're now seeing me cut the front of the bodysuit, the back is the other one, and I'm just being so careful with this cut because I don't have a lot of chances to do this right again. And I want to have very specific seams on these because I don't know how to describe it other than sometimes when you do a stitch on a bathing suit or a bodysuit that isn't a stretchy, seamless looking stitch, it gives you like 2 extra butt cheeks, so it's like a 4 butt cheek moment, and I didn't want that to happen, so I am doing a stitch by stitching the right sides together all around these areas I'm pointing out. I do this for both the front and back around the leg holes, the arm holes, and around the neckline to make sure that I don't have any visible seams. And as I mentioned before, I highly stress you must use a stretch stitch. I then refine how I want my neckline to be, and then I just cut off the excess because it's going to be turned inside out. And here's what that seam looks like. You can see no visible stitches, and I did this on both sides, and it's a very clean looking finish. Here's a closer look at the edges, and I am laying the two pieces together with right sides together, and I'm just going to be doing a stretch stitch up the sides to adhere the front to the back. We then head back to the sewing machine to do the stitch I was just talking about. Again, stretch stitch just along the outer edges, and I'm going to be then trimming the edges and doing a zigzag stitch, which is also a stretchy stitch, just to clean everything up and make it look nice on the inside. And now for the upgrade that I didn't do the last time I made this outfit, which is our silver foil iron-ons. And now I've gone in with the special iron-on, which has no stretch. So if you're doing this, make sure that you have enough room in your bodysuit that it can stretch in the other areas and not disrupt this stuff. I'm using a Cricut holographic sparkle iron-on, and I'm just cutting it out with a design that I made on my iPad and then just cut it out on my Cricut, and I'm going to be ironing onto the fabric. I tried to do the design as close to Margot's as I could, but I mean, we're only working with the paparazzi behind the scenes pictures and like a couple shots from the trailer, so I'm just doing my best to get it to look as close to hers as possible. So once it's done cutting, I'm doing the process of weeding, as we say in the Cricut world, which is just peeling off the vinyl and getting in the little nooks and crannies of those designs. And then it's my favorite part. It's time to place everything and iron it on, so this is that process. And a pro tip is to wait for it to cool completely, otherwise the little silver circles will come off and stay on the plastic part and not actually on the fabric. It needs to like cool and adhere to the surface. I just think it came out so amazing. I love how holographic and sparkly it is in the light, and I'm just so excited that this is the method I chose to do. Look at how she glitters in the sunlight. Here's our little visor. I am not a hat maker. I have had to make 3 hats for these Barbie cosplays, and that's not where I thrive. So we do our best with hats. It's cute, it was a little bit of a pain to make, but let's go through the process. So here's what our hat looked like at the beginning. I bought this on Amazon and it's very flimsy and floopy, and my plan is just that I'm going to disassemble it and reassemble it using the fabric. It was pretty easy to disassemble this because I don't think it's like super amazingly made. It was like $15 from Amazon, so who knows the quality. But I just took my seam ripper and just started going at it until I just deconstructed the entire hat. Now that I have all the pieces I'm going to be using, I just lay it out on my final fabric, and I'm going to be tracing everything with a reasonable amount of seam allowance so that I can figure that out, and then sewing those pieces back together and actually just putting them over top of the base pieces. And after that, here are all the pieces that I was left with and the corresponding pieces that they go on top of. So I'm starting with the brim of the hat and just sewing these together. I just traced it on the outside in pen to show where I needed to put my stitch line, and then ended up taking it in a little bit because I do want to have it very tightly stretched over the hat so it doesn't like have any room underneath and it holds the shape of the brim. Then I'm just flipping it inside out and trying it on my hat before I move on to the next steps. Then I'm just making a case for the part that goes over the head area, which I did end up trimming down because the original hat was a little bit thicker than I wanted, because Margot's is uniquely thin for the part that touches her head. And all I did for this was just sew a tube and take it in until it fit correctly. And for extra support, I stick the original piece back through, and that's what I'm going to be going with for the head attachment part of the hat. Then on to the tricky part, I'm going to be attaching the brim to the tube that I just made, so I'm finding the center of each piece and pinning it down, and then I'm going to be very carefully running it through my sewing machine, and somehow I made this work. I was pretty shocked after this, but we move on to the next detail, which is the little like bias tape that goes around the edge. So I just sewed this piece together and gave it a little outside stitch, and I thought at first I was going to just glue this down, which I definitely could have done, but I thought let me just give it a go and see if I can break another sewing machine, which I did not. This new sewing machine seems to be a lot stronger than the other one that I broke, which is ironic because the other one was literally called Strong and Tough, but I digress. So I'm just going around and putting it around the brim at the center to start, and then I'm going to run it under my sewing machine very, very, very carefully all the way around the bottom brim of the hat and the bottom of the head strap attachment part. I don't know what to call that. And then Margot has this piece that's on top of the hat that has no visible seams to me. It did, after I did this, occur to me that I could have just sewn this piece from in between the brim and the head attachment area, but I'm instead making this little tube and gluing it down using Gorilla Glue, which they say is okay for fabric, and it hasn't broken yet, so it's working. And then apparently I did not record a video showing how I'm actually going to attach this to my head, which is just repurposing the original Velcro, and I just put it on the back and it worked. But I'm actually pretty impressed with how it came out. The seams are not the cleanest, but from far away it'll do the job, and another Barbie hat is in the books. I didn't make the little shorts that go along with this outfit. They're just a pair of Skims. They are not good quality, Kimberly. I don't know why you're charging like $50 for these, but I got them on like discounts. For like 16, so it's okay. It was low-key so hard to find a perfectly colored neon pink bike short that didn't have seams like here that would stick out of this, because this is high cut because it's the 80s. We can't have that. We only need one seam down the middle. Seamless if possible, but I couldn't find that. So the point is, this is what I bought. It's very thin, it's very cheap, and I imagine that it would rip if tested. So do with that information what you will, and whatever. And then next up is the protective gear. I decided to go with the Impala stuff, but once it got here, I got a size medium, and the elbows were too big and the knees were weirdly non-stretchy because of the seam that they put in here, so I decided that I was going to go ahead and swap out the rainbow fabric in the back for the more screen accurate neon yellow fabric.
So this was pretty easy. All I did was take my seam ripper and go in and undo the seams on the sides, which was not hard. And this is the yellow spandex fabric that I'm going with. I just got it off Etsy, and it's a perfect color match, luckily, to the pads, which is great because I am doing this literally one day before I'm supposed to shoot content in this outfit. And it looks very yellow here, but then my camera adjusts and it looks more fluorescent green, this is what it looks like to my eyes, but that's just weird. So I'm just taking these pieces that I detached and I'm going to be tracing them out with a little bit of seam allowance, and I'm going to be cutting 2 pieces per pad that I'm replacing. And here the color is changing again. I'm just pinning 2 pieces together, and then I'm going to sew those edges together where my pins are and then flip it inside out so I don't have to do a bias tape seam like they did, so it wouldn't be stretchy. I'm just doing 1 stretch stitch along this seam, flipping it inside out, and it'll have a nice clean hem. So then I just take all those pieces that I finished for all 4 pads, and I'm just going to be attaching them to the edges where I removed the original fabric. And just very carefully sewing them down to my sewing machine and doing a lot of stitches and zigzag stitches to make sure that it's actually secure, so that when I do skate in these, it still has structural integrity and protects my knees and elbows. And I think it came out pretty good, pretty seamless replacement.
Oh, and then the most important part, the rollerblades, which I actually haven't opened yet, so I can give you a live unboxing of them right now. Okay, please hold. And I don't know that I should have to say this, but I'm not sponsored by Impala. I just love Barbie, and I have a problem with limiting my spending for cosplays. Here's the box! Look at it. Ooh. Alright, we've set the scene, we've set the mood. Just look. Out. It's hard when you're the entire production crew. And does this not look exactly the same as the bodysuit? I would say I did a pretty good job. Tap on my own back. Look at that! An aesthetic showing. Oh, it's pretty cozy in there. I'm gonna try it on in skate in the hallway. Come on. That's not supposed to happen.
And after one 30-minute practice session in my house, I was ready for the grand reveal at the local roller rink.
Too hot. So thank you guys so much for watching my video, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Barbie content because I'm in my Barbie era. That seems to be the only thing that I'm capable of making this year. So get ready for more. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, or you can DM me at Costume Kens on Instagram and I probably will answer. Who knows if I will ever properly learn how to rollerblade. But I'm willing to try for the love of Barbie.